Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the November 2024 SBIF District Rollout. We'll be getting started in just a couple of minutes. A reminder for everybody on the call today, everyone will be receiving a follow-up email with a copy of this presentation. You can also rewatch it on DPD's YouTube page. If you have any questions during the conversation today, feel free to put them into the chat box. We will be answering them at the end of the presentation. We'll get started in just a moment. Again, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us for the November 2024 SBIF District Rollout. My name is Kim Brisky, and I am the Director of Communications at SummerCorps. We are the administrator of the SBIF program on behalf of DPD. Today, we will be doing a presentation about the SBIF program and the new districts opening for application in November. Everybody participating in this call today will be receiving an email follow-up with a copy of the presentation. You can also rewatch on DPD's YouTube page. If you have any questions during the presentation, please put them in the chat box and we will be answering them at the end. With no further ado, let's get started. I'm going to introduce Nora Curry with the Department of Planning and Development to get us started. Nora?
Good afternoon, everybody. As Kim said, my name is Nora Curry. I'm the SBIF Program Director for the City of Chicago Department of Planning and Development, or DPD. On behalf of the City of Chicago, thank you for joining us today. The Small Business Improvement Fund, known as SBIF, provides grants to small businesses and property owners to make permanent improvements to their properties. It is a reimbursement grant. Over the last few years, we have made a lot of exciting changes to the SBIF program, including increasing the size of the grants available to you and rolling out over $100 million in new funding available in TIF districts all over the city. One thing that has not changed is the ample assistance available to you as a SBIF applicant. Technical assistance is a key strength of the SBIF program. When you submit your application, you will be assigned to a SummerCorps project manager. That person is there to help you. If you have questions about your application or run into issues with the city, such as city permits or having a slow contractor, call your SummerCorps project manager immediately. They can help you resolve confusion or roadblocks or just answer any questions if you're new to contracting. Your local delegate agency is also another great resource. They may be the local Chamber of Commerce or Community Development Corporation that told you about today's webinar. Sylvia will list their names later in the presentation. Like your SBIF project manager, delegate agencies are here to help you. They often can help with SBIF applications or with things like introductions to local lenders, or again, with the city permit process. We are all here to support your application because we want to see your business and your neighborhoods flourish. With that, I'm happy to introduce Sylvia Orozco, the SBIF Director for SummerCorps.
Thank you very much, Nora, and thank you all for joining us. Again, my name is Sylvia Orozco. I am the Program Director for the Small Business Improvement Fund program with SummerCorps. For over 19 years, I've assisted hundreds of existing businesses, startups, and also landlords. SummerCorps is a non-for-profit organization. We administer the NOF program, the Small Business Improvement Fund program, and we offer SBA loans. Celebrating its 25th year of SBIF, it is one of the longest running and most successful programs of the City of Chicago. We've helped to retain and expand small businesses in all areas of the City of Chicago, with dispersing over $118 million to over 1,900 businesses. Please be advised that this is a non-residential program. The funds cannot be used for residential, cannot be used for capital or operating expenses. It is strictly for infrastructure repairs only. So again, thanks for joining us. We'll go ahead and get started with today's presentation. Today, we will go over what is SBIF, what is our program mission, the grant parameters, and the project timeline. Getting started, is your business or property in a SBIF district? Which SBIF districts are open or on deck? What are the SBIF program rules? How do you apply? And what resources are available to help? We'll also go over the November rollout list of districts as well as a sample project. We'll have SBIF facts available for you and an additional question and answer session at the end. Launched in 1999, the City of Chicago's Small Business Improvement Fund program promotes economic development by providing small businesses and landlords with reimbursement grants for permanent building improvement costs. Residential projects are not eligible. SBIF grants use local tax increment financing revenue to reimburse grantees for the pre-approved repair or rehab of their business facilities or adjacent land acquisition. Summer Corps is a program administrator contracted by the city's Department of Planning and Development. What are the grant parameters? The property must be in a TIP district where SBIF funds are available and is authorized to accept applications. Landlords of commercial or industrial properties can qualify. Owners or operators of commercial or industrial business owners who own the property, tenants with prior written approval from property owner, and startups may apply with a business plan. A current City of Chicago business license is required. Eligibility: commercial or industrial applicants whose net worth cumulatively is less than $9 million and $500,000 is the liquid asset max per individual. Commercial tenants or owner occupied, on average, your gross sales must be less than $9 million. For industrial tenants or owner occupied businesses, you must have 200 or fewer full-time employees. Note that all owner occupied properties are subject to both tenant and landlord requirements. Grant size: $250,000 is the maximum per industrial property that can be reimbursed through SBIF. $150,000 is the max per commercial property occupied by a single owner or tenant. $250,000 is the max per commercial property that's occupied by multiple owners or tenants, with $75,000 being the maximum assistance per individual applicant. SBIF applications and SBIF grants are non-transferable between applicants and/or properties. Applicants who wish to apply for SBIF funds for more than one property must submit separate applications for each property. Applicants may receive one or more grants up to their maximum program assistance. Once this maximum is reached, the applicants will need to wait 3 years to reapply. Reimbursement. So if you have a commercial business and your sales or net worth fall between $0 to $3 million, you'd qualify for 90% reimbursement of eligible cost. If your sales or net worth are between 3 to 6 million, you'd qualify for 60% reimbursement of eligible cost. And if your sales or net worth fall between 6 to 9 million, you'd qualify for 30% reimbursement of eligible cost. All industrial projects qualify for 50% of eligible cost. Here we have a grant calculation example. Let's say that Grace submits an application for a SBIF grant in an open district with the total eligible project cost of $100,000. She's proposing to make permanent building improvements to her existing retail shop for which she is a tenant. Grace has been in business for 5 years. Over the last 3 years, her gross sales averaged $1.5 million. Here we have a breakdown of eligible costs as follows. With the total eligible project cost of $100,000 as a commercial tenant applicant with gross sales under $3 million, she qualifies for 90% reimbursement of SBIF grants. City's responsibility at 90% is $90,000, and the applicant's responsibility at 10% is $10,000. The SBIF program is a reimbursement grant, so project participants must be prepared with financing to support the cost of the permanent building improvements. Applicants are encouraged to contact their business lender to reach out to one of the lenders listed on the list on our website in a timely manner. Grantees may choose to complete their projects in phases rather than covering 100% of the project cost up front. To participate, the grantees must receive an approval for the full scope of work and the phase work schedule. Construction timing will be based on necessity and contractors' recommendations. Receiving phase disbursements will be based on the progress of work. So here we have a phasing example. Let's say that you require a complete roof tear off, a new HVAC system, and facade renovations. Your contract price is at $180,000, and you qualify for 90% reimbursements with the maximum of $150,000. So let's say for phase one, your roofing project is priority. With the contract price of $60,000, you pay the contractor, have that work completed, you send us proof that that work has been done. You would qualify for 90% rebate, which leaves you with the reimbursement of $54,000. So from that 150, we deduct the 54,000, and that leaves a remaining balance of 96,000. So you can then use that reimbursement of 54,000 to go towards the HVAC system. Once that work is complete, you can submit proof of payment documentation for that portion, and then you can use the reimbursement for that for the next project, which would be your facade renovation. So here's the example of phasing. We can talk a little bit more once we get to that point. Project timeline. In stage one, this is the applicant eligibility review stage. The applicants complete their applications and provide proof of site control. They're granted up to 20 days to provide these items. If deemed eligible, they will proceed to stage two. This is the project eligibility review phase, where you will be granted up to 120 days to submit any plans, bids, and specifications, and to cure any debts with the City of Chicago. Stage three is the project construction stage. Once approved by DPD, the applicants receive a conditional commitment letter and construction can begin. Up to 10 months is granted for the timeline of the construction itself. Concurrently, the proof of permit or permit application must be submitted within 120 days following the date of the commitment letter. Stage 3.4, proof of financing phase. The applicant provides proof of funds. They're granted up to 120 days following the date of the commitment letter. Failure to meet the proof of financing and or permit requirements are means for removal of the application. Stage 4 is the reimbursement stage. This is the time where applicants are required to submit their payment documentation. This shall include a sworn statement, invoices, canceled checks, final waivers of lien, all sent to Summer Court for review. After a final site visit has been conducted and processing of the documentation, that is sent to the city for processing. The reimbursement check is usually available between 4 to 6 weeks. Unless DPD has granted an extension, the applicants who do not complete each stage within the required phase time limit will be disqualified and removed from the program. Is my business or property in a SBIF district? In order to determine this, you can visit our website at summercore.com/SBIF to see if your property is in a SBIF district. Once you get to that page, you can click on the locator tool, and that will take you to another page where you can then enter your address there, and it will give you relevant information that pertains to that specific property. So there it's going to tell you whether or not the property is in a TIF district. It will give you the rollout dates and also the list of the delegate agencies that can assist with the SBIF process. Which SBIF districts are open or on deck? Eligible SBIF districts in Chicago span neighborhoods on the north, south, and west sides. Each month marks a new 30-day period in which SBIF districts with available funds open for applications. Notice of district openings are provided to relevant aldermen, posted on DPD and Summer Corps websites, and included in the SBIFgram. You can visit our website for the most up-to-date list of open and on-deck districts. What are the SBIF program rules? Here we have a few ineligible business types. It's not all comprehensive, so please contact Summer Corps if you have any questions. Chains and franchise businesses are not eligible. Any places of worship, startup bars or taverns, startup banquet halls, smoke shops, liquor stores, things of that sort do not qualify for the SBIF program. Eligible improvement costs. These include things such as roofing and facade, components of signs or awnings which are permanently affixed to the building, any alterations or structures that are needed for ADA compliance, including any railings or ramps, also including ADA accessible restrooms if necessary, HVAC and other mechanical systems, plumbing and electrical work, certain project-related architectural and construction management fees that are related to the project can also be covered. Permanent interior renovations, including fixtures, and the purchase of adjacent land parcels for purpose of expansion or parking. Ineligible improvement cost. SBIF does not cover new construction, whether it's an addition, an expansion, or building from the ground up. Any standalone minor repairs or cosmetic improvements cannot be covered if those are the main items that you're looking to have covered, but if they're part of a full gut renovation, they can be covered. Any equipment-related expenses such as appliances, computers, or office furniture are not eligible. The only equipment-related items that we cover are for commercial restaurants or commercial kitchens, which include walk-in coolers and freezers, fire suppression systems, and exhaust hoods. Those items are eligible for restaurants or commercial kitchens. Ineligible items include planters surrounding or affixed to buildings, outdoor dining or drinking areas, including roof decks, beer gardens, outdoor patios, balconies, awnings, porches, and decks are not eligible. Fencing, including pergolas, trellises, arbors, privacy screens, and similar structures, parking lot construction or repair, landscaping, and work on interior of residential units are ineligible through SBIF. Design requirements. Applicants for commercial properties seeking a grant of $25,000 or greater are required to make at least one exterior improvement using at least 10% of the maximum grant amount. To receive project approval from DPD, improvements must conform to DPD's design guidelines. The applicants are strongly advised to consult with Summer Corps and design professionals on design requirements and guidelines before drawing up plans for work. Key exterior design guidelines reviewed during the approval stage include preserving or recreating the original design and window openings when possible, incorporating permanent signage to clearly identify the business, adequate lighting, especially near entrances to welcome customers. Avoid window clutter, please. Windows should let in natural light and attract passerbys to the business. Please refer to the Department of Buildings guidelines for on-premise window signs for more information. Other forms of security are preferred, but if necessary, only interior mounted security gates that are integrated into the storefront design will be reimbursed. Applicant compliance. Checks will be performed on all applicants during the approval stage to ensure that they are complying with child support laws and not indebted to the city. Any scofflaw debt must be cured to participate in SBIF. Applicants can cure the debt via a city payment plan. Applicants using a payment plan must be in compliance with that to receive any SBIF reimbursement funds. All applicants must be current on property taxes to receive the conditional commitment letter for funding or reimbursement for completed work. Each applicant must sign an economic disclosure affidavit. The grantees must sign an affidavit certifying that they will not relocate out of the TIF district or sell the business or property within a 3-year period following disbursement of funds. To be reimbursed, the landlord applicants must have an executed lease with the qualified tenant, and that tenant must be occupying and actively operating their business or nonprofit out of the leased space. How do you apply? You can visit our website at summercore.com/SBIF to complete the SBIF application within the open period. Please allow 2 business days for SummerCore to confirm receipt of your application via an email response. If you do not receive email confirmation, please call the main line at 312-360-3300 or send an email to spiff@summercore.com. Applicants are responsible for making sure submissions are received within the open acceptance period. Applications received after 5 p.m. on the last day of the acceptance period will not be eligible. What resources are available to help? Our website has resources including the locator tool, our program rules, a list of licensed contractors, SBIF lenders, a list of the design guidelines, current applicant resources. So I do want to go back to the SBIF lenders list. So with that, this is a reimbursement program, so you do have to have the financing available upfront. You can always reach out to your current lender, let them know that you're participating in the SBIF program, and we can also write a bank assignment so that the proceeds of the grant is written directly to the lender, and you will be responsible for then paying off that remaining balance. So we have a list of lenders that are familiar with SBIF, so you can reach out to them, and I'm sure they'll be happy to help you. Again, you can visit our websites for all of these resources that are available for you, and you can also connect with your local delegate agency for assistance in filling out your application. Get to know your local delegate agency. These organizations are assigned to assist small businesses in the SBIF districts that are opening in November. So you can reach out to any of these local agencies if they happen to be in your area. Open for November 2024, we are now accepting applications for 79th and Vincennes, 87th and Cottage Grove, Avalon Park South Shore, Elston Armstrong, and Western Ogden. We're accepting the applications through November 30th at 5 p.m. Here we have a sample project. This company is called Caseline Inc. They're in the Western Ogden TIF district. Here are some before pictures prior to construction, and here are the after pictures after the construction was complete. Caseline is a wholesale travel supply business located in the Lower West Side. In business for over 20 years, they offer luggage, duffel bags, tote bags, backpacks, and accessories. Property and business owner Sam Yassin has taken advantage of the SBIF grant twice to support his business. The scope of work of these 2 projects include extensive exterior work, including tuck pointing, replacement of 33 windows and 4 doors, roofing improvements, outdoor light fixtures, and the installation of 4 HVAC rooftop units. They also completed permanent interior improvements, including electrical upgrades to furnish and install a new elevator car and necessary framing, drywall, insulation, flooring, and plumbing work for a bathroom renovation. SBIF facts. What additional documents should you have on hand to submit along with the SBIF application? While it's not required when submitting the initial application form, please note that these items are required to complete the SBIF application process. The required documents vary depending on the applicant type. Some of these items include business tax returns if you're a business owner. If you're strictly a landlord, we would ask you for a copy of your tenant's lease, proof of ownership, economic disclosure statements, affidavit of child support. So some of these forms we have templates for that will be provided to you, and some of these items you will provide to us. Are startups or new businesses eligible? Yes, most startups can apply. Startup applicants will need to supply a detailed business plan and projections of the business's income and expenses for its first 36 months of operation as part of their application materials. The City of Chicago reserves the right to impose additional conditions for funding in connection with startup business applications. If you've been in business for 1 to 2 years, SummerCore requires tax returns and a projection of gross sales to equal 3 years of data. Am I eligible if I live outside of Chicago? The important consideration is where you have your business or property. To participate in SBIF, your property must be in the City of Chicago, as our funding source comes from the City of Chicago property taxes. If your business or property is in another area, please call that city's planning, economic development, or community development department to see what other programs may be available to assist small businesses. What if my building has both business and residential spaces? This program is for business use, but there are mixed use exceptions. Many envelope projects such as roofing, facade improvements, and tuck pointing can be eligible. Can SBIF be used with other City of Chicago grant programs? The answer is no. SBIF cannot be used at the same time as other financial assistance programs like the Neighborhood Opportunity Fund or the Chicago Recovery Plan grants on the same project covering the same work. However, you may apply for multiple grants at the same time and select the best fit for your project, provided that you stay within the grant timeline requirements. Will there be enough SBIF funds for all applicants? Each TIF district that has the SBIF program authorized in it has limited funds reserved for the program. If demand for the SBIF funds is greater than the available funding supply, then a lottery will be conducted to determine the order in which each grant application may be accommodated. If any surplus funds become available, they will be allocated to waitlisted applicants. Is there SBIF funding available in my district? Every SBIF area has its own budget that the city refills if it has TIF funds available and if there's a demonstrated need for more grant money. We also maintain an interested parties list for funds, which you can also send an email to spiff@summercore.com to join. When more funding becomes available or the city allocates more funds, we will let you know. The interested parties list helps the City of Chicago gauge demand for additional funding. What if I'm in a TIF and not in a SBIF? Tax increment financing, known as TIF, is the mechanism that funds the SBIF program. If you are in a TIF district and it does not have a SBIF, please contact your alderman. Here we have contact information for the SBIF team as well as Nora Curry with the Department of Planning and Development. There are also 2 websites that are available to you. Please note that the chicago.gov/SBIF website, they do have Google Translation available. The resources are available in other languages. A copy of the presentation and a link to the video will be emailed to all attendees, and we can go ahead and get started with the question and answer session.
Thank you again, everyone, for participating. And I'm gonna first just kind of jump in, Sylvia, with the more, most common question that we see is just sort of what are the most common challenges that applicants see and what can they do to sort of ease that process as they move forward?
So I would say the challenges are the upfront financing, since this is a reimbursement program. So you do have to have the financing available. You don't have to have it at this moment while we're accepting applications. So don't let that deter you from applying. We do want to, let you know that there's still an opportunity to apply for loans if you don't have the funding readily available to you. So another challenging thing is finding good architects and contractors to work with too. So we require at least 2 competitive bids. I always suggest that you get more. You don't have to settle, you get the feeling for how responsive they are, their knowledge of the program. So it's best to talk to many contractors, and you get the option to decide as long as they're licensed and insured and their contract costs are within reasonable range of the other bid.
That's great. I have a question here. Could you kind of go through the definition of what site control is, why it's so important, and when do you need it in order to participate in the SBIF program?
Okay, site control is a requirement in order for us to move forward with the application. Site control is basically giving us proof that you have control over the site. So if you are a property owner, then we would require a warranty deed, a trustee's deed, however your property is held, we will need proof that you are the owner of that property. If you are a tenant, we will need proof that you have a lease with the actual property owner. That lease must be at least a 3-year term going forward. And that is to protect the applicants so that you're investing in someone else's property. We want to make sure that you can at least enjoy it for a minimum of 3 years. And the landlord can't come to say, okay, you fixed up my building. Now I can get this person to pay double. So I need you out. That protects you, making sure that you are at least, getting the investment, basically getting a chance to enjoy what you put into someone else's property.
That makes sense. When it comes to the deadlines and extensions, can you kind of go through that process? How should they let their summer core project manager know about an extension when they need it, when there's an issue? About where the timeline should they be letting you guys know?
As soon as possible, as soon as they know that they're not going to meet their deadline, they should reach out to us right away. So they are eligible for up to 2 extensions only, but I would say, don't use an extension if you don't need to. If you're just dragging your feet in stage 1, I know you have your business tax returns and your licenses, and we're all busy. I know you guys, some are busy business owners or landlords, just make it a point to meet your deadlines until you have no control. That's the point where you should say, okay, now I need to use my extension. If, for some reason permitting was delayed or contractor scheduling was off, and then you need an extension during the construction phase, I would rather you use it when you need it rather than not.
Good. Can you talk a little bit about sort of the difference between when something is considered like a cosmetic fix? I think you talked a little bit about, flooring and painting and when that would be considered cosmetic versus when it's part of a bigger project. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. So if someone comes to us and just says, I want some painting to be done in the whole space, I just need a new floor to be put in. If there's no necessity for it, if the floor is in good condition and there's no reason to swap it out, it would have to be damage from either visible coming apart, water damage, or even the floor joists under the support of the floor that you see up top. If there's damage underneath, then we could replace it. But if it's simply just, I don't like this color, I just want a fresh coat of paint, those items will not be eligible through SBIF. But let's say you're doing a full gut rehab, or you're also including a new electrical system, new drywall, new layout, new floor joists along with the new flooring. If it's a more extensive project, then we can incorporate those sorts of items. But if it's just, you know, just for the look of it, then no, that would not qualify.
And I would add to that too, is that we have on the Summer Corps website and also the city's website as well, lots of example projects. On the Summer Corps website, there's even a section of the blog and all it is SBIF projects. And you'll be able to see lots of before and afters and examples of the type of work that has been done to help get you inspired. Well, at that point, we actually don't have any other new questions coming in. And so I just want to say thank you to everybody for participating today. We look forward to seeing all of your applications. And again, if you're going to be receiving an email with a copy of the presentation, if you have any questions in the meantime, I just put our contact info back right up here on the screen. And the main email is spiff@summercorps.com. Thanks, everyone, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.